As you settle into the quiet of this moment, let your heart open to a story of courage, a story that begins in the shadows but finds its way to the light. Imagine a young woman, standing at the edge of her own life. Her spirit bruised by words that cut deeper than any blade, her confidence eroded by a relationship that sought to dim her shine. This woman, like so many, felt trapped in a cycle of psychological and verbal abuse, where every doubt planted in her mind grew into a wall between her and her dreams. Yet, within her, a spark flickered, a spark of strength, of defiance, of a truth she could no longer ignore. She was worthy of more. One day, a line was drawn in the sand, a boundary crossed, and in that moment, her mind shifted, as if a switch had been flipped. She knew leaving would be hard, that the path ahead would be fraught with fear and uncertainty, but she also knew she could not stay. "I am enough," she whispered to herself. And those words became her anchor. Stepping away from that toxic space, she felt her soul begin to heal, her heart begin to mend. It was a decision that changed her on a cellular level, as she later described it, a transformation so profound it rewrote the story of who she was. She was no longer the girl who doubted her worth. She was a woman who stood up for herself, who chose herself. That choice was her rebirth, a moment where fear gave way to courage, where pain gave way to purpose. As she walked away, she carried a new truth. Her value was not defined by someone else's words but by her own resilience. She began to rebuild, piece by piece, rediscovering her ambition, her voice, her power. The world noticed her light, but more importantly, she noticed it herself. She poured her heart into her work, creating stories that spoke of strength, of women who rose above, of lives transformed by courage. Each night, as she closed her eyes, she affirmed her worth, her strength, her destiny. And so, as you rest tonight, let her story inspire you. You, too, are enough. You are worthy of love, of respect, of a life that lifts you up. Release the doubts, the fears, the voices that tell you otherwise. You are capable of crossing your own line in the sand, of stepping into a future where your light shines bright. As you drift into sleep, know that your courage is waiting, ready to guide you toward a life of purpose, of power, of unyielding strength. You are enough, and that truth will carry you forward, just as it did for her. 10,000 characters. In the stillness of the night, let your mind settle on a truth that can transform you. You have the power to rewrite your story, just as she did. The young woman who walked away from an abusive relationship carried wounds that were not visible but deeply felt, words that tore at her self-esteem, moments that made her question her worth. Yet, within those wounds, she found the seeds of her strength. Leaving was not just an act of escape, it was an act of defiance, a declaration that she deserved better. "I am worthy," she told herself, and those words became a mantra, a shield against the doubts that lingered. The journey was not easy. Leaving an abusive relationship never is. Self-doubt clung to her like a shadow, whispering that she might fail, that she wasn't strong enough. But she pushed forward, step by trembling step, her heart beating with a new rhythm. "I am enough." She began to rebuild her life, not from the ashes of what was, but from the foundation of what could be. She poured her energy into her passions, creating art that told stories of resilience, of women who refused to be silenced. Her ambition, once stifled, became her superpower, a force that propelled her toward success. She spoke out, not just for herself, but for others, sharing her story to light the way for those still in the dark. Her courage inspired a movement, a ripple effect that touched lives she'd never meet. She learned that ambition wasn't selfish, it was a gift, a way to create, to uplift, to change the world. As she grew, she became a beacon, her light shining brighter with every project, every dream she chased. Her health, once strained by stress, flourished as she embraced her worth, her body and mind aligning with her purpose. Each night, as she rested, she affirmed her truth: "I am wealthy in spirit, in strength, in possibility." And so, as you lie here tonight, let her story remind you of your own power. You are not defined by the pain you have endured but by the courage you choose to embrace. Release the weight of doubt, of fear, of the voices that try to hold you back. You are worthy of a life filled with love, success, and joy. As you drift into sleep, let these words sink deep: "I am enough, I am capable, I am destined for greatness." Tomorrow, You arise with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to claim the life you deserve, just as she did. 10,000 characters. As you sink into the embrace of sleep, let the story of a woman who reclaimed her power guide your dreams. She was young when she faced the darkness of an abusive relationship, where words and actions chipped away at her confidence, leaving her feeling small, unworthy. But deep within, a voice whispered that she was more than the pain she endured. One day, a boundary was crossed, a moment so clear it shifted her entire being. I cannot go further, she realized, and in that realization, she found her strength. Leaving was the hardest decision she'd ever made, fraught with fear and self-doubt, but it was also the most profound. It changed her, she later said, on a cellular level, as if her very DNA had been rewritten with courage. She stepped into a world that felt both terrifying and exhilarating, carrying only her determination and a belief that she could be more. She rebuilt her life with intention, choosing paths that honored her worth of creating, leading, inspiring. Her ambition, once crushed, became her fuel, driving her to build a legacy of stories that empowered others. She spoke of her pain, not to dwell in it, but to transform it into a beacon for those still searching for their way out. Her health became a priority, her body a vessel for her newfound strength, her mind a canvas for dreams that grew bolder each day. She learned that wealth wasn't just money, it was the richness of a life lived authentically, fiercely, freely. Each night, as she closed her eyes, she affirmed her truth. I am strong, I am worthy, I am enough. Her story became a testament to resilience, a reminder that pain does not define you, but courage does. As you rest tonight, let her journey inspire you to claim your own power. You are not your past, not the words that hurt you, not the doubts that linger. You're a force, capable of rewriting your story, of stepping into a future where your light shines bright. Release the chains of fear, of doubt, of anything that dims your spirit. As you drift into sleep, let these words take root. I am worthy, I am capable, I am destined to rise. Tomorrow, you will wake with a fire in your heart, ready to build a life of purpose, of strength, of unyielding possibility, just as she did. 10,000 characters. In the gentle quiet of this night, let your soul be lifted by a story of transformation, of a woman who turned pain into power, fear into freedom. She was once caught in a web of abuse, where psychological and verbal wounds left scars no one could see, where her dreams were overshadowed by doubt. But within her, a spark of resilience burned, waiting for the moment to ignite. That moment came when a line was crossed, when she knew she could no longer stay. I am enough, she declared, and with those words, she took her first step toward freedom. Leaving was a battle, each step heavy with a weight of self-doubt, but it was also a victory, a reclaiming of her worth. That decision, she later shared, changed her on a cellular level, as if her very essence had been reborn. She walked into a new chapter, her heart open to possibility, her mind alive with ambition. She built a life that reflected her strength, to creating stories that uplifted, leading with courage, inspiring with honesty. Her pain became her purpose, her story a light for others lost in the dark. She embraced her health, nurturing her body and mind, knowing that true wealth was a life lived fully, authentically. Her ambition, once stifled, became a force that shaped industries, that changed lives. Each night, as she rested, she affirmed her truth. I am worthy, I am powerful, I am unstoppable. Her journey became a movement, a call for others to rise, to speak, to claim their space. As you lie here tonight, let her story be your inspiration. You are not defined by the pain you've carried, but by the strength you choose to embrace. You are worthy of love, of success, of a life that shines with possibility. Release the doubts, the fears, the voices that try to hold you back. As you drift into sleep, let these words become your truth. I am enough, I am capable, I am destined for greatness. Tomorrow, you arise with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to step into your power, to build a life that reflects your worth, just as she did. Your story is yours to write, and it begins with the courage to say, I am enough, and to believe it with every fiber of your being.